I know you guys in the book, y'all talk about your struggles with standardized testing.
Yeah.
And not just from the ACTs. I mean, you specifically talking about the ACT, and it reminded me of my story. You said you got a 22.
Yeah.
I got a 22.
Yeah.
But I never took an ACT prep class.
No.
I had no type of preparation for the test.
No.
And then later on, MCAT and other tests, there were some struggles. I just want your thoughts on the standardized testing and what we can do to combat, the biases against us when it comes down to those tests.
So I'll say from this, and I mention this all the time. When you talk about standardized tests and test taking, this stuff doesn't start at the collegial level or even like the high school level.
Right.
This stuff starts at the pre-K level, and that is the difference. And I think when people, mention and consider specifically, especially in a place like Baton Rouge where you see it, with somebody like me as a transplant, I see it. Like the difference in the education is drastic, right? So, like you realize, when you're a seasoned adult, like a lot of stuff is based off of design.
Right.
The thing that kind of pisses me off, when you're a black man, or a responsible black parent, you kind of know, like, especially if you've gone through the system, you realize like how disadvantaged our kids really are, right? So. The education, they say it's not about race, and it transcends race, and it transcends socioeconomic gaps, and it transcends regions, right? So, I'll give you a perfect example. You think about a place like any place where you think in America where what you would consider is thriving, like a Seattle, right? Seattle's thriving, or Portland, like those areas are thriving because they're not only tech hubs, but those tech hubs, the people within those industries, they create the foundations where the kids can come through and take their skills anywhere across the globe. Whereas a place like, in Baton Rouge, you only have, if you're not getting your child in one of these private schools, like an Episcopal or a Catholic or a U High or something,
one of
the magnets,
right?
You done. You just done.
You're finished, right? And
crazy.
and that is a beast that that we're fighting against, because we know that. And when you look at it, what happens is these kids, even if they're driven, and you can put them on the right path, and you think you can be a mentor to them, and you can inspire and motivate them. Who's in the trenches with them every day, giving them the specific skills and the tools that they need necessary? They don't have that.
Right.
And a big thing, what happens is, and this is why we're such hardcore advocates for institutions that are vested in kids like us from the communities that we come from, is because let's say you got a kid who they know, they don't want to be involved in the streets.
Right.
They want to listen to somebody such as yourself in terms of like doing the right thing and staying on the right path, right? But if they're not being equipped day to day with the necessary skill sets that are needed, what'll happen is they'll go to an underprivileged school, and they may get straight A's, and then they'll end up at a place like LSU, and they'll fail.
Get crushed.
They'll
It's
get
false
demolished.
confidence.
And it has nothing to do with intelligence, but this is the problem, right? Because it has nothing to do with the intelligence, but it has everything to do with the preparation, right? And once what happens is, and we can say this for ourselves, once I'm equipped with the same thing that you getting over there, if you give me that information, and we step in the room under pressurized situations, I'm gonna show up and I'm gonna show out. That's why I can be in the hospital taking care of the sickest patients in the entire hospital, and like people calling me, like they're not calling somebody that you would think is old, white, with gray hair. They're like, oh, get Madare in here. Like, because I've been put in a situation where, okay, now we got to be on the same playing field, and now the information, we getting the stuff out the same book. I'm a master that information, and then because I'm used to pressure, you know what I'm saying? Man. Pressure, like being in situations where the pressure of the streets of like whether survival, I'm used to that, so I function in that very well. So when it comes to that, whereas other people, they're not used to that, and they're not built for that.
Man, I've seen this, man. I've seen this so many times, like, through residency, medical school, and even as an attending, like, you have so much emphasis that's put on standardized tests. Like people they're 95 percentile of, this test or what have you. They put on these high pedestals for taking these standardized tests, and you actually put them in a situation where it's life or death and you got to think critically,
They can't do it.
pressure bust pipes, man. I've seen it. I've seen the smartest of people that are, top echelon of test taking.
smart people.
Yeah,
Test smart.
Test smart.
But that does not equate to real life pressure, common sense thinking, right? It just doesn't.
Right.
Like, as much as they try to simulate, it just does not. And to the standardized test component, like you were saying, it was the answer to it is emphasis and exposure. Because just like you, I didn't know that this was going to be the hurdle that could take me out. Right. I didn't know. I thought that, as a kid, man, if I keep a 3.5, 3.6, and I get A's and B's, I'm great.
Right.
I'm the top of my class, but this is the top of a class of kids that are not getting challenged and are not prepared for this next level.
Right.
Like you said, in the book we talk about, I got a 22, and I was like, oh yeah, you got one of the highest A's. Man, that's nothing. That's trash. That's bottom, right? That's bottom. That's bottom of some of these average Joe high schools, and their averages are higher than our high, are way higher than our high. So when you talk about that in standardized test taking, it's we have to arm our kids, like Max was saying, at a very early age. We're talking elementary age to understand, listen, I'm trying to tell my kids now, listen, these standardized tests are life. Right or wrong or right, it is what it is. Right. And we have to realize that this is the beast we're up against, and then we have to realize this is the skill that we have. I don't care. And I tell kids, I had a kid, I had a girl I went to high school with, and she wanted me to mentor her daughter. Her daughter is a little arrogant. Her daughter is got a 4 point something. She has AP classes or what have you. And I'm telling her, I'm looking at her grades. I'm that's phenomenal, sweetheart. I'm really proud of you, But when you choosing a college, realize that means nothing. It means absolutely nothing, because when the feet hit the pavement and the rubber meets the road, nobody cares about that. It matters what you do on one day of you sitting down taking an 8-hour test and what that number says you are. That is who you are. Yep. And if you can't produce on that day and be able to take a test and break it down and be able to know answers even when you don't know what's going on, and be able to figure out what the right answer is without even knowing it, if you can't do that, they view you. I don't view you, but they view you as trash. And you have to understand, and our kids don't understand that. And it took me to be smacked in the face to say, look, you got a 3.3 come out of Xavier. You think you're great or whatever, but you're trash.
Right. So how are you not smart enough to do well on the LSAT, but you could pass the ball in the first round?
And the simple answer, it's not intelligence.
Correct.
It has zero to do with intelligence, and that is the fallacy that they want you to believe, that you didn't do well on the ACT, so you're not that smart. You didn't do well on the MCAT, so you're not going to be a great doctor. You didn't pass step 1 on of USMLE, which is the first step for medical professionals, so you can't be a great doctor. It's trash. It is the most absurd thing, and as board certified physicians and doing what we do and top of our field or whatever, as we look back, it's just man, everything that they were trying to say that we weren't, and seeing it's just man, it is such garbage. It is. But what we tell kids, you have to play the game.
Part of the game.
It is a game. It is a game that's played on your life, on your future, to keep you marginalized, and you have to play it to be successful. And you have to play it appropriately, and you have to play it effectively to get to where you want to get. Exactly. And it starts off, and to your question, how do you attack it or whatever? Every kid that I talk to, whether they're in undergrad, whether they're in high school, whether they are in elementary school, I tell them right now, your life revolves around questions. Your life is about questions. Everything that you do, you should be doing 5-10 questions every day. about, you know, whether it be from an ACT prep standpoint, whether it be from an MCAT, LSAT, GMAT, GRE, whatever, those questions you have to incorporate into your life, because I could tell you right now, you brown, black, yellow, you know, any pigmented person, if you go into a school where pigment is the majority of your school, they're not teaching you this skill. And with that being said, you have to take that, and you have to go in and you have to make that your objective every day. Right. And you have to get an ACT prep book. You have to get an MCAT prep book early and start doing questions early. Mm-hmm. And by the time you get to the point where you need to take the MCAT, GMAT, GRE, LSAT, all of those, you've already logged in or banked in thousands of questions already. So your preparation level is different now. Right. And that's how the game has changed. And that's what they don't tell us. That's what's different. And that's what we're trying to push. That's what we go and we talk to kids or what have you. If you don't hear nothing else we say, listen to that. That changes the game. That makes it so that the barriers that they have in front of us to keep us out of these spaces of excellence, that breaks those barriers down. And they don't want you to know that. That's the information you need. Yeah.